Something Was in the Woods by JustGonnaLeave. Hello everyone. This encounter happened several years ago, and I find it to be the scariest thing I've experienced. I was 15 years old. I had two friends, one named Todd, the other Zane. One time we all went to my grandfather's house. His house had miles of woods as far as the eye can see. We went there many times before and built cool little structures for fun and stayed for hours on end. One day, we were bored and decided we would go out towards dark. And my grandfather led us, but only until this large creek, which was half a mile away from the house. We were extremely excited because we could fully experience how terrifying the woods can be. We wanted to be frightened and scared. It made us feel alive. We quickly gathered everything we needed, like we were going on the camping trip of our lives. As we waited, we made up a complete list of everything we would do together. We would play hide and seek, manhunt, do all kinds of things. We also planned to go out at 12 a.m. on the dot. After what felt like years, the time finally came to head out. We got all of our materials and brought these old flashlights that were really bad. We didn't want to bring bright flashlights because we wanted this to be as creepy as possible. Once we headed out, we got deep into the woods. We had our flashlights out, and apparently they weren't very good because they kept flickering on and off. But that was the least of our problems. It was cold. We should have expected that, and every noise made us jump. We were in way over our heads, but this was too late to back down. Eventually, we made it to the creek, and we decided that we should play some games that we wrote down. Manhunt was fun, but it lacked players. Hide and seek was when things turned bad. During the game, Zane was it. I ran towards some brush that was hidden away by a sign on a hiking trail. I was somehow able to not be seen by him 3 times as he ran by, but I quickly realized that he was starting to look into the bushes. So to avoid being caught, I ran away towards the creek. That's when I heard loud footsteps in my direction. I thought it was Zane, so I lunged into the shrubs next to me. As soon as I did that, the steps immediately stopped. Weird. Zane must not have seen me, or else he would have said, "Found you." So I assumed he only heard my footsteps, but somehow thought it was something else. I eventually ran over the bridge at the creek and just continued running. Eventually, I stopped and decided to just go past the perimeters set by Grandpa, even though I was cheating. That's when I came across a house, a small mobile home that was bigger than most, and it was worn down and looked really old. Once I approached it, I got a horrible feeling of dread. I hesitated to enter, but something weird compelled me to go inside. That's when I got to the stairs, and immediately I felt really ill, like I was about to throw up. I then started to smell something rotten and disgusting, like several dead animal carcasses being burned. I threw up, but that compelling feeling came back. And as I opened the door, I felt like I had just stepped into my deathbed. Once I opened the door, that smell only got stronger, causing me to empty my guts onto the floor. The place was covered in mold. Basically, what any abandoned location left to rot would look like. I then noticed that there was a basement where the smell seemed to be coming from. I looked around the place and found some photos, jewelry, and other things. I finally had absolutely no control over my body anymore. It was like I was possessed. I then descended down the old, creaky staircase. Once I reached the bottom, I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black. The only thing illuminating the room was my flickering flashlight. That's when I heard a soft chewing sound come from the right corner of the room. My heart sank as I heard this. I panned my flashlight to the right. What was shown by the flashlight still gives me nightmares to this day. A long, slender, and dark figure, illuminated by my light. This thing was crouched over a severed limb of a deer carcass. I froze as this thing was huge, and it just looked at me. Then I realized that this creature had no face at all. I screamed and stood there as it started talking. It sounded like an unknown language to me, but how could it be speaking if it didn't have a mouth? I immediately ran. I ran and continued to run until I felt my muscles shaking and hurting. I ended up running until I actually made it back to my neighborhood with my friends already there. I explained what happened, and we decided to keep it a secret between the three of us because no one would believe it. Until now.